Page 108, 100% pure German sweat. People lined the streets as the youth of Germany marched toward the town hall in the square. On quite a few occasions, Liesel forgot about her mother and any other problem of which she currently held ownership. There was a swell in her chest as the people clapped them on. Some kids waved to their parents, but only briefly. It was an explicit instruction that they march straight and don't look or wave to the crowd. When Rudy's group came into the square and was instructed to halt, there was a discrepancy. Tommy Mueller, the rest of the regiment, stopped marching, and Tommy plowed directly into the boy in front of him. Why is Tommy plowing into somebody? What's wrong with Tommy? He twitches, but he has hard time hearing because of all of those constant ear infections and the surgery. Okay? So Dummkopf, the boy spat before turning around. I'm sorry, said Tommy, arms held apologetically out. His face tripped over itself. I couldn't hear. It was only a small moment, but it was also a preview of troubles to come for Tommy and for Rudy. At the end of the marching, the Hitler Youth divisions were allowed to disperse. It would have been near impossible to keep them all together as the bonfire burned in their eyes and excited them. Together they cried one united Hail Hitler, and were free to wander. Liesel looked for Rudy, but once the crowd of children scattered, she was caught inside a mess of uniforms and high-pitched words, kids calling out to other kids. By 4:30, the air had cooled considerably. People joked that they needed warming up. That's all this trash is good for anyway. Carts were used to wheel it all in. It was dumped in the middle of the town square and doused with something sweet. Books and paper and other material would slide or tumble down, only to be thrown back onto the pile. From further away, it looked like something volcanic, or in the middle, or something grotesque and alien that had somehow landed miraculously in the middle of town and needed to be snuffed out, and fast. The applied smell leaned toward the crowd, who were kept at a good distance. There were well in excess of 1,000 people on the ground, on the town hall steps, on the rooftops that surrounded the square. When Liesel tried to make her way through, a crackling sound prompted her to think that the fire had already begun. It hadn't. The sound was kinetic humans flowing, charging up. They've started without me. Although something inside told her that this was a crime, after all, her 3 books were the most precious items she owned. She was compelled to see the thing lit. She couldn't help it. I guess humans like to watch a little destruction. Sandcastles, houses of cards, that's where they began. Their great skill is their capacity to escalate. The thought of missing it was eased when she found a gap in the bodies and was able to see the mound of guilt, still intact. It was prodded and splashed, even spat on. It reminded her of an unpopular child, forlorn and bewildered, powerless to alter its fate. No one liked it, head down, hands in pockets, forever. Amen. Bits and pieces continued falling to its sides as Liesel hunted for Rudy. Where is that sockerel? When she looked up, the sky was crouching. A horizon of Nazi flags and uniforms rose upward, crippling her view every time she attempted to see over a smaller child's head. It was pointless. The crowd was itself. There was no swaying it, squeezing through, or reasoning with it. You breathed with it, and you sang its songs. You waited for its fire. Silence was requested by a man on a podium. His uniform was shiny brown. The iron was practically still on it. The silence began. His first words, Hail Hitler. His first action, the salute to the Führer. Today is a beautiful day, he continued. Not only is it our great leader's birthday, but we also stop our enemies once again. We stop them reaching into our minds. Liesel still attempted to fight her way through. We put an end to the disease that has been spread through Germany for the last 20 years, if not more. He was performing now what was called a shirashi, I can't say it, a consume exhibition of passionate shouting, warning the crowd to be watchful, to be vigilant, to seek out and destroy the evil machinations plotting to infect the motherland of its deplorable ways, the immoral, the communists. That word again, that word, dark rooms, suit-wearing men, the Jews. Halfway through the speech, Liesel surrendered. As the word communist seized her, the remainder of the Nazi recital swept by, either side lost somewhere on the German feet around her. Waterfalls of words, a girl treading water. She thought it again. Communism. Why all of a sudden does that word mean something? Yes, because that's the only word that she understood or that she heard about her dad. And now they're saying all these words as something negative, and so she's starting to put 2 and 2 together, right? Up until now at the BDM, they had been told that Germany was the superior race, but no one else in particular had been mentioned. Of course, everyone knew about the Jews as they were the main offender in regard to violating the German ideal. Not once, however, had the communists been mentioned until today, regardless of the fact that people of such political creed were also to be punished. She had to get out. In front of her, a head with parted blonde hair and pigtails sat absolutely still on its shoulders. Staring into it, Liesel revisited those dark rooms of her past and her mother answering questions made up of one word. She saw it all so clearly. Her starving mother, her missing father, communism, her dead brother. And now we say goodbye to this trash, this poison. Just before Liesel Memminger pivoted with nausea to exit the crowd, the shiny, brown-shirted creature walked from the podium. He received a torch from an accomplice and lit the mound, which dwarfed him in all its culpability. Hail Hitler. The audience, Hail Hitler. A collection of men walked from a platform and surrounded the heap, igniting it. Much to the approval of everyone, voices climbed over shoulders, and the smell of pure German sweat struggled at first, then poured out. He rounded corner after corner till they were all swimming in it, the words, the sweat, and smiling. Let's not forget the smiling. Many jocular comments followed, as did another onslaught of Hail Hitlering. You know, it actually makes me wonder if anyone ever lost an eye or injured a hand or wrist with all of that. You'd only need to be facing the wrong way at the wrong time or stand marginally too close to another person. Perhaps people did get injured. Personally, I can tell you that no one died from it, or at least not physically. There was, of course, the matter of 40 million people I picked up by the time the whole thing was finished, but that's getting all metaphor. Allow me to return us to the fire. What does that mean? Not physically. It says perhaps people did get injured. Personally, I can tell you that no one died from it, or at least not physically. Why not? Mentally, for sure. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Mason. The orange flames waved at the crowd as paper and print dissolved inside it. Burning words were torn from their sentences. On the other side, beyond the blurry heat, it was possible to see the brown shirts and swastikas joining hands. You didn't see people, only uniforms and signs. Birds above did laps. They circled, somehow attracted to the glow, until they came too close to the heat, or was it the humans? Certainly, the heat was nothing. In her attempt to escape, a voice found her. Liesel. It made its way through, and she recognized it. It was not Rudy, but she knew that voice. She twisted free and found the face attached to it. Oh no, Ludwig Schmickel. He did not, as she expected, sneer or joke or make any conversation at all. All he was able to do was pull her toward him and motion to his ankle. It had been crushed among the excitement and was bleeding dark and ominous through his sock. His face wore a helpless expression beneath his tangled blonde hair. An animal, not a deer in lights. Nothing so typical or specific. He was just an animal, herd among the melee of its own kind, soon to be trampled by it. Somehow, she helped him up and dragged him toward the back. Fresh air. They staggered to the steps to the side of the church. There was some room there, and they rested, both relieved. Breath collapsed from Schmickel's mouth. It slipped down over his throat. He managed to speak. Sitting down, he held his ankle and found Liesel Memminger's face. Thanks, he said, to her mouth rather than her eyes. More slabs of breath, and they both watched images of schoolyard antics, followed by schoolyard beating. I'm sorry, for Liesel heard it again. Communism. She chose, however, to focus on Ludwig Schmickel. Me too. They both concentrated on breathing then, for there was nothing more to do or say. Their business had come to an end. The blood enlarged on Ludwig Schmickel's ankle. A single word leaned against the girl. To her left, flames and burning books were cheered like heroes.